I'll give you an example. When I used to be a switchboard operator at the Ritz in St. Thomas, I was a living-in employee, by the way. You answer the phone a certain way. We even had a script. Good afternoon, thank you for calling the Ritz-Carlton St. Thomas. Bryan speaking, how can I assist you? Had the mirror and everything. Oh yeah, it was not a drill. It's hardcore. Now, one day, I want you to pay attention. One day, this is powerful. One day, I decided to not do my job properly. That's usually what happens, huh? Many times when someone isn't doing their job thoroughly, it's because they decided not to. And I was a living-in employee. So one day I said, you know what? I'm answering this phone the same way over and over and over and over again, this 8-hour shift, so much that I go home and answer the phone the same way. I'm like, enough. So one day, I decided to answer the phone like this. Good afternoon, Ritz-Carlton. I missed out a whole half of the paragraph, right? The person on the other end of the line said, is that the way we're supposed to answer the phone? I'm like, then it said, transfer me to your general manager now. Transfer to the general manager. 2 minutes later, do you know who that was on the phone? No. That was the administrative assistant to the president of the entire Ritz-Carlton Hotel company. So I learned 2 things. Number 1, it's never okay to decide to not do your job properly. Never okay. Ever okay to say, well, I'm going to take a shortcut. You never know who you're serving. And more importantly, every person you serve from the beginning of your shift to the end of your shift deserves the best you have to offer anyway. The last person you serve at the end of your shift should not feel like they're the last person being served at the end of your shift. And they don't want to hear that you've been working a double or triple for the last 10 days. They don't want to hear that. Right? They don't want to hear that stuff. So that's number 1. But number 2, here's what I learned. What if she hadn't given me that feedback? What would have happened? I would have continued doing it over and over and over again. And it would have seeped into all my other jobs. And very likely, I would not be here in this capacity right now with you. You see? Very likely. So here's the question. She didn't know me. She was in Atlanta at the corporate office. I was a line employee, in 18-year-old, or I guess it was, in St. Thomas, answering the phones. She didn't know me. Why did she give me the feedback? Why? There you go. She cares about the brand. She cares about the company. She cares about the mission. She is not going to sit idly by and allow somebody to just start diluting the brand. Not under her watch. And she's not my manager. So don't use the excuse, well, this is a person in another department, therefore I'm not in a position to give them feedback. No, because when you don't give the feedback, you are enabling them to not be successful. I think, Tracy, you mentioned that you may have some people on your team, and many of you have a lot of younger people on your team. It may be their first jobs. So the feedback you give them and the feedback you don't give them right now is what is setting them up for success or failure in their entire professional career. Correct? So you cannot afford to not give them feedback. Thank goodness she gave me feedback. Because if she didn't, I wouldn't be here.